Hello everyone, and welcome to my update for November 2020. It's been quite some time since I've uploaded a video, and there are several reasons for that, but I just wanted to give sort of a quick update on some things that have been going on, and some things that are going to change, and some things that are upcoming on the channel. I know it's been a very long time since I've uploaded, so I guess I'll start with that. So, I basically haven't uploaded anything since February, and there were a few reasons for that. First and foremost, my work at the time sort of went into a crunch mode and didn't really come out of it, which sort of happens in game dev every once in a while. You go into a crunch mode and you just have to get the product out on time. That sort of happens. But between that and some things that happened in my personal life, as well as, of course, the everything going on with the pandemic and the changes that has led to in everybody's life, and sort of the way the channel was going at the time, I just kind of got burned out a little bit on game dev, and I really lacked the motivation to create new content. And so I decided to just sort of take a break because it wasn't something that I enjoyed particularly at that point. And it became almost a little bit of a chore because some of the projects that I was working on, I didn't really enjoy the direction of. And so I'm going to make some changes to those things and work on sort of a little bit more what I like to work on. I'd done a lot of work around TypeScript and web game development, and I feel like I've sort of hit the plateau of what I want to hit there, at least for right now. And so before I had two series. I had the Gloom series and the Vulkan series. And the Gloom series was based around TypeScript and using 3JS and Box 2D for physics. That's actually, you're looking at a more advanced version of that here. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm not going to continue this project. As you can see, I've done a lot of work here sort of off screen. But I've decided that, I wasn't really getting particularly excited about this project, and so I'm going to put it on hold for now. But with that said, I know there were a lot of people that were interested in it. And so what I'm going to do is make one last video that sort of encompasses all the changes that I've made between the last video I updated and this version that you see here on the screen. Things like mouse input, a map loading system. I built an editor around it. The physics are in place, so you can't go through the walls, things like that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and release the source once I make that video, and I'll explain the design direction and all of my decisions that I made along the way. And I'll go ahead and put this project to rest. And all the content for this will be freely available, so anybody that wants to take this and sort of use it as an example and sort of kick off a project of their own, they can do that, and you guys won't be left hanging any longer on that. So this project will, at least in the foreseeable future, be going away. And that is basically where I'm going to leave that. Before I move on to the other series, I do want to mention that my situation has changed a little bit. I recently, a few months ago, I got a new job, which is far, far less demanding on my personal time. In fact, it's not demanding on my personal time at all, which is great. And I also got a break sort of away from, the game development thing as a whole. And so I was able to sort of get back a little bit of that, that wanting to sort of create new content. And so with that, I'm actually going to be rebooting the Vulkan series. The Vulkan series, for those of you that did not watch it, or even for those of you that did, it was all written in C++. And I just wasn't generally happy with the direction that particular project was going. I've been sort of leaning away from object-oriented programming lately in favor of a more data-oriented design and almost functional-like programming. And I also feel like there are a lot of constructs in code that I just no longer felt, they just no longer felt right to me. And so, I had a lot of complexity rather through abstraction. And I just felt that that was adding more complexity than was actually worth it. I didn't feel like it was actually solving the problem. And I've actually done a little bit of research on this, and I've sort of come to the conclusion that object-oriented programming may not necessarily be the right fit for what I'm trying to do. So I'm actually going to relaunch the Vulkan series, but with a bit more of a plan this time. I'm not just going to sort of fly by the seat of my pants. I've actually got an idea of how I want that series to progress. And it's not going to be just building an engine, right? It's actually going to be building and releasing a game. And we are going to build sort of an engine that runs on, but it's not going to be an engine that's designed to necessarily be widely reused like Unreal or Unity. It's going to be very purpose-driven and targeted so that we can have less bloat in the software and a better overall direction in general. And so with that change in approach, I'm going to be programming it in C instead of C++. Because most of what C++ offers that I actually used was based around classes, and I'm not going to be using those. And I'll get a little bit more into that when I actually release those videos. I'll sort of explain my way through that. But I'm looking for a more data-oriented design and build the game and the engine around the data versus trying to make it fit into a object-oriented design. The other thing that I kind of feel like, and I've felt this way for a long time, is that C++ is sort of out of control. The language is gigantic, it's bloated, and I'm really not a fan of the way that it's going. And the longer I use it, the more and more I found myself wanting to just go back to sort of the C way of doing things. And so that's exactly what I'm going to be doing in that series. The only other thing that I wanted to bring up was the format of that series is going to be slightly different as well. I'm not going to be live streaming most of it, if any of it at all, because I felt like there was a lot of dead time. But it was also mentioned to me that some people appreciated sort of the view of how I debug things and kind of figure things out. So I'm going to leave that in. I'm not going to cut that stuff out this time. But the advantage of sort of releasing edited content versus live streaming it is it'll be much more digestible, I feel like. I'll be able to break things up into smaller sections instead of having a 1 or 2 hour stream. I'll be able to cut things up into smaller sections, say 10-15 minutes, and cover one particular topic. And then, that's a lot easier to find in the catalog of videos later on when you go to reference it. And so I'm going to try that because that seems a lot more attainable to me. It's also a lot easier to block out a chunk of time that's, say, half an hour to bang out a video versus having to sort of live stream for an hour or two. It's not always easy to have those blocks of time. And so that's really the last big thing that's going to be changing. So yeah, with that, I will go ahead and release, probably the first thing I'll release is the last video for the Gloom series, which will basically explain how the game and engine got to the state that you see here. Some of the things that I've added really quickly is I added, obviously, weapons. You can pick up a shotgun, blast people with it. There are sectors that you can step in that do damage to you as long as you stand in them. You can pick up various keys to open doors, things of that nature. So I also have the lighting as well. So I've added a lot of cool stuff in here, and I'm going to show you guys sort of how I put that together. It does need work. It's not a final product, but I think this should serve as a decent basis for a lot of you guys to take it and sort of make it your own and create projects from it. And so I think with that, I'm going to go ahead and sort of wrap this video up for now, and just be on the lookout for this final Gloom video to be released, and then I'm going to go ahead and reboot the Vulkan series. It's probably going to be titled something a little bit different. I'm probably going to title it the name of the game, which I haven't completely come up with the name yet, but I have an idea of what I want to make. We will be writing the renderer for that, most likely in Vulkan. That's the direction I'm wanting to go now. And if that changes, it'll change before I start the series. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you guys are interested in seeing the new content coming soon, please, if you haven't already, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys soon.